Hey guys, Lizardlea here for Believe Day 1. So, Believe is this one. There we go. It doesn't want to, whatever. It's from Bewitching Cross Stitch by Joan Elliott. So, I'm halfway through them. I bought these pretty fabrics on Amazon. There we go, now you can see the colors. So, they're actually different from the blue and the pink I had before because they actually have been, like hand painted, so it's not solid. You can kind of see. Looks like that, splotches. Sounds like it's bad, but I don't know how else to say it. So I've already done pink, but this is actually kind of purple. But Believe has pink and green on it. Okay, so Dream has green butterflies. I think that would actually look good with the orange. Call me crazy, I don't know. And maybe the Believe fairies would look good on green. Or maybe I should do purple. I should have decided on this before I started filming. I don't know. I don't know. I'll think about it, and then hopefully when I start you'll see. If not, I will tell you at the end of the video. Alright, so I finally watched the DC movie I've wanted to watch for years. Shazam!
Shazam.
I liked it. Like, that one is very rewatchable for me. I definitely can see myself watching it again. How about you? You've seen way more of the DC movies than I have.
And to be fair, that makes Shazam look way better.
I still enjoy it.
No, I don't think I'd want to rewatch it. It's not awful, but it's not... It actually reminds me a lot of Venom. And that it's...
Venom was even better than Shazam.
I agree, but in both cases, neither was living up to their potential. It felt like there was a lot of kind of producer meddling going on, or just like uncreative decisions going into it. While in the meantime, Shazam is sitting there. Sorry, not Shazam. Shazam is sitting there trying to do its best. Did I get two of the same? No, I didn't. Sorry. Trying to do its best to make a good job. Like all the scenes of him just being Shazam, discovering his powers and whatnot, are kind of fun because, of course, it's adult and kid body. That's always been the charm of Shazam. But to be fair, in like the cartoons and the comics, it's usually because he's more sincere. He's often used as kind of an example of like, hey, you guys have gone way too far in your Machiavellian strategies and pragmatic takes and whatnot. Like, where are the heroes who are supposed to, and they're like, yeah, he's a good guy, and they don't realize he's a freaking kid. That's half the fun of Shazam.
Yeah.
So they had fun with the whole he's a kid in an adult's body with superpowers and doesn't know what he's doing. It still felt a little weird that like the villain, I feel like, was almost justified. Actually pretty well justified.
Yeah, we absolutely was.
Yeah, like everything about this is like, well, why? Like they did not do a great job setting up why this kid is Shazam, or.
Oh yeah, that was terrible. Like I already said that the best way to fix that was then to just be like, you are our last hope.
Yeah.
You are innocent, or like you are not what we're looking for, but you are the only hope right now. You just have to accept this, and that would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Because it would have been true. Because everything that they said they wanted in every other kid, he did not have. He became eventually by the end of the movie, but he didn't have it throughout the movie. He was not a good kid. He was a terrible kid. Terrible person.
I mean, yeah. So it's a bit freaking weird. And it's those little things that keep it from being really good, because you're like sitting here. Again, it's hard not to compare it to Marvel, where, like, Marvel did a really good job with, like, as a totally different example, I was like, how are you going to make Doctor Strange work? I don't want a Doctor Strange origin story. But they did a really good job showing the fish out of waterness of, like, yes, you've been a doctor, yes, you're really good at studying, but also this is magic, and you're not really great with that, or, like, you're kind of getting it, but you're still not in your element, and him kind of adapting to that world. So, you know, it's I don't know. It doesn't feel like it totally delivers on that. Partly because the villain is so meh, and it's not that the villain should like the villain is actually very well realized. It's just that the bad guys, the deadly sins,
Yeah.
are kind of whatever monsters. They're just things to fight. And then the solution at the end is, I think, a little hokey.
I thought it was cute. Yeah, like contrived. Like,
Well,
oh yeah,
spoiler-
that's of course what they're gonna do.
Spoilers from here on out, so because there's no other way to really discuss this. But the ending is basically, oh, you know, all my friends get powers to get
My
parts of
foster
my powers.
siblings.
Yeah, my foster siblings get parts of their powers. Get parts of my powers. Each one gets one of my powers.
Yeah.
And then they help fight the thing, and it's just very Power Rangers like, or heck, anime, where okay guys, break off and fight the guy who you're paired up with one by one. You know.
I actually really enjoyed that. Like, it was super contrived, but once they all had their powers and they were fighting at that amusement park, I really enjoyed it because each one did get a different power and they utilized it very well. They picked up on their powers way faster than the main kid ever did. But Darla, the little black girl that always just
Yes.
wanted him to get along with her. Oh my god, I almost cried over her. She was so cute. As a kid, she was my favorite, and in the grown-up superhero version, that actress made me believe she was actually playing like a little girl. It was perfection. I loved it.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know. She was cute. I'm trying to remember the other kids. There was the friend who was the good
Freddie,
friend.
the cripple.
Yeah, who was kind of the point of the movie in a weird way. Where it's like, hey, you're not a cripple, and you're trying to run away, and you're terrible.
Yeah, he was saying that to the main character.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know, that's just kind of the general audience view of him. Is like, you're not really supposed to empathize with the Shazam kid too much. He's looking for his mother this entire time, but that's kind of about it. That you can like, oh, okay, because he's kind of you know,
He's a jerk to everybody because
Yeah.
all he cares about is finding his mom.
and yeah, and it's just, I don't know, it's weird because there's so many cool ideas in there, but then they don't really. Then it devolves into kind of the standard action plot. It's almost a little bit like Impossible Beasts, where it's like, oh wow, this has a lot of charm and heart, and then, oh wow, we've gone back to a standard plot that I've seen a million times before. You've thrown away the parts that make this charming. It's not as bad as Impossible Beasts. Impossible Beasts is like, wow, I just watched them kill
Magical
a friend.
beasts and where to
What?
find
Sorry,
them. He's
Magical
talking about
Beasts.
Harry Potter.
That one, yeah. I like that one. I was just like, wow, I just watched them kill a franchise. Like, you had something here and you ruined it. This, you know, I'm kind of excited for the Black Adam sequel, though again, I don't know if The Rock is going to be the character he should be in this. He's going to try and be The Rock and be an anti-hero or a good guy when he would make an amazing villain for it, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, in general, throughout Shazam, what stuck out?
For me,
The cripple Freddy was like, I think.
oh
the
yeah,
heart
he
of
was
the
the heart of the show.
Yeah.
Absolutely, he was so sweet. But my favorite scenes were just any time that Shazam was on screen. The actor that played the superhero Shazam was amazing, and the kid, Billy Batson was the kid's name who becomes Shazam. Kid's a really good actor, but I hated almost every scene he was in because he was such an a-hole. It was really frustrating. It was very exciting when he finally became Shazam. But my favorite scene was when he was running and jumped off a building and he just shouted Shazam. And it goes like slow-mo with his arms going back and then lightning strikes and he becomes that superhero. That was an amazing shot. I was talking about that for like the next 10
Yeah.
minutes afterwards because that was just a perfect shot.
Yeah, I mean, that was cool. That was cool. I'll give you that. That said, I don't feel like there's much else to say about it. That's the biggest criticism I have of it is that, you know, I'm trying to think of anything to talk about, and I'm like, I've said all I can really remember about it.
Have you seen Big with Tom Hanks?
I have not. We've been over this. It's on my to-do list.
It should be, because that is the ultimate kid in an adult's body movie. And it's Tom Hanks. Like, he's so precious.
I feel like I've seen that concept
He
done
does
really
chopsticks
well.
on the piano.
I know. But no, I think I've seen that concept done really well somewhere, and I can't think of where it was. Because it's a common trope.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, well, to be fair, again, my favorite example of it is actually, again, Shazam in the Justice League cartoons, because they use him really, really well. Because the whole point is the Justice League doesn't know he's a kid.
Yeah.
And so
they treat him like he's an adult.
I think Batman knows, because it's Batman. Batman always knows, but no one else knows. And so there's a big blow up when they find out he's a kid, because he's actually on like the board because he's so powerful. And they're like, well, wait, we have a kid fighting on the front lines. How does that look? You know. And then also like he's called them out once or twice as they start doing their more Machiavellian scheming, because we've got to win. And he's like, but this isn't us. Blah 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 blah. You know, because he's a naive kid. But that's also the point. Is well, the kid also is your moral center, because he is the only one who's still not jaded enough to be like, no, things should be better, rather than just, well, I guess we have to kill all the civilians to save the day. Or what wasn't that bad, but you know. And this opened the door for that, but the big problem is I think Shazam works best when he can pivot off other characters, because the fun of him having to act like an adult and a hero. Oh yeah, the hero names is fun. I remember that. I don't remember what they were.
Oh my god, there were so many.
So many bad hero names.
Freddy tried so hard.
Yeah.
He was going with so many of them, and they were so bad.
Yeah, no, him having to act like an adult and like an adult hero, no less, around all the other adult heroes, especially when in Justice League a lot of people, these have been, like, the way they play it off is all of them have been doing this forever now, and they're like experts, it's practically corporate, and he's over here like, yeah, I fought a guy, you know, it was so cool, we flew, like, yeah, dude, we all fly. Did you see when Superman punched that guy? Yes, I was there, they were killing me, like, yeah.
But Superman, dude!
And it's such a shame that they did such a good job to kind of start that, and there's nothing else in DC I want to see him bouncing off of. Like, I'd love to see him in the current Batman. That would be hilarious. Especially because eventually Batman should figure out who he is, because that's Batman.
And he was proven to be a very good detective in the last movie.
But I don't know if they really have a Superman. I think the actor who played Superman was great, but I thought the writing for it was pathetic.
I didn't watch it. I have no opinion on it. Other than I don't want to see it.
It doesn't feel like Superman. And it's not because he kills Zod or anything like that. It's just, it feels very poorly written. Again, it doesn't have the charm of the characters. Like, Lois Lane is generic love interest, not Lois Lane. And that alone is, I think, a huge failure of Superman, because she's a huge part of what makes Superman work.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you make her boring, generic love interest, you're not getting Superman. And if you don't have Superman, who does Shazam bounce off of? Because that's kind of the whole point, is he's like, oh my god, it's Superman, when everyone else is like, yeah, we work with him, we know. And he's like, right, you know. And there's a lot of fun in that. So yeah, I'd love, that would be, if DC had brains, that would be the crossover, the Batman Shazam crossover, because everyone would be like, what? Like goth Batman, you know, Nirvana Batman with freaking, you know, kid mode, like, yes, that could be really fun, and that could have a lot of interesting moments, especially because if you've seen the Batman movie, it's about him kind of realizing he needs to be more of a symbol and less of a
vigilante?
I was going to say murder hobo, but then I was like, well, that technically he doesn't kill anybody, but yeah.
I thought my word worked.
Yeah. But yeah, he needs to be less of an archon of fear and more of a symbol of hope and yada, yada, yada. And so yeah, Shazam kind of bouncing off him on that would be kind of fun, but, you know, I don't know if they've got it together. Him and Jason Momoa as Aquaman would be great, but I haven't seen the Aquaman films just because, I don't know, everyone's like, well, the story with every DC film goes with basically Wonder Woman, Shazam, and Aquawoman. Like, was it good? Oh yeah, whatever. Aquaman. I'm tired. Was it good? Yeah, it was good. Oh, like compared to a Marvel, how good was it? Like an average Marvel. And I'm like, well, that doesn't really drag me to theaters or make me run out and get it. Like, if it's on TV, I guess, but I don't watch TV, so.
See, I was willing to pay for Shazam because I saw the previews and I was like, I'm going to enjoy that movie. And I was right. I did enjoy it. I want to rewatch it.
If you had been more insistent about going, or if I remembered that it was in theaters, or maybe that was during COVID or something weird, but like...
It was 2019. It was when I was at Ross. I was depressed and didn't want to do anything.
Yeah, right. So, that's the thing, but like, if he if you had wanted to go, I would have gladly gone, you know?
Mm.
But at the same time, I don't regret missing it in theaters. I don't, you know, again, my problem with DC is we have finally realized that the reason that the animated series that have been going on for years are always so well hailed is partly because of the chemistry between the characters. And what you can do is you can do a really good show, or you can do a lot of good movies. That's what Marvel figured out.
Yeah.
And DC has just not kept up in the slightest. They have managed to just bungle this.
Well, their cartoon shows are spectacular.
They are. Which is what's even funnier, because it's like, oh, well, actually their cartoon shows have been kind of taking a hit in quality lately, too. That's a separate concept.
Well, the ones you've had me watch have
yeah,
been
the older
spectacular.
ones. Yeah. They're fantastic, and that's why it's even funnier, because it's like, you have talent that can do this, let them do it. And get these idiots who are ruining your franchise out of the process. And plenty of people have come out and said, yeah, when you work at Marvel, it's clear they care about Marvel. If there's complaints, there are complaints about directors not being able to direct, because it's like they come in, the script's already written for them, and they just need to do it.
Yeah, they brought in when someone else has quit.
Yeah.
I feel like that's not fair.
Well, not even then. It's just that the writers have so much control because they're trying to make sure all the plots tie together. The director comes in and is like, okay, I want to do this scene. They're like, nope, here's your plots. Go. And I can understand directors being upset about that, but I can understand writers and the money people saying, but it's working. Deal with it. Sorry, you don't get to be in control. This is not your art piece. This is our story.
Mm-hmm.
And with that in mind, DC's still doing the, director gets to make his art piece, or producer says that, this is what action movies do to make money, so we do, like, Superman opens with a 15-minute sci-fi scene because it wants to show the fall of Krypton.
Oh my god.
And I swear to God, if you caught like a clip of that, you would not know it was Superman. You would think it was some generic sci-fi action flick. There's nothing about it that makes it clear that it's Krypton or Superman, and it's 15 minutes of that, which I think misses the point that we all know the frickin' origin stories. Stop.
Yeah, I'm so tired of origin stories. Like,
even this one, I was
at least like Peter Parker, Superman. I'm done. Everybody knows their origin stories.
Very clever that with the new Peter Parker, they basically skipped his origin story.
Yeah, he was already an established person.
Uncle Ben is dead.
Yep.
It's like, cool, we know what happened, we know what it is, and then they played with that a bit more later. I don't want to spoil things if people haven't seen it, but they played with that in a clever way to introduce the origin story way later, but still in a clever way that moves the plot.
Yeah.
Rather than like, great, I have to sit through 15 minutes of what we know. So the only times I've cared about origin stories are Into the Spider-Verse, where it was hilarious because you got the origin story for every single one of them.
Oh my god, I loved Into the Spider-Verse.
And they were making fun of it. And
yeah, and it was just quick.
This one wasn't awful just because you got the villain's origin story first, which helped. It made the movie interesting just in the, are they ever going to make me feel bad for the bad, or make me hate the bad guy? Because currently I feel bad for the bad guy and kind of don't like the good guy. That was the best thing about it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I actually really appreciated that. Because by the end I was like, yeah, okay, the bad guy, he's taking it too far. But dude, the wizard that offered him the Shazam powers freaking ruined his life.
Yeah, and I mean, again,
literally ruined it.
And I don't think they delivered on it. Like, they
tried to make him a 100% evil bad guy, and he never was.
Not only
he
that,
was always gray.
They never really, I think, Shazam gets one speech from his friend about you're being a jerk, but it doesn't really deliver on, like, the major unfairness of that kid's life versus the kid's life who's now fighting him. How they basically were in very similar situations, if not worse for the other kid, and now he's grown up and he's dead, and they never do anything with it. It's, again, this is where I feel like maybe some writer had a cool delivery and then they cut it and now they just did the standard ending. I don't know. But that's my biggest problem with Shazam, is that it doesn't quite deliver. And again, we can talk of all these examples in Marvel or all these examples of DC Animated where they weave this stuff through wonderfully. They know what the characters are, they know what their purpose is, they know how to make them all interesting. People aren't just generic. Again, Superman, Lois Lane, generic romance female. Like, she just falls in love with him because she sees him. She is not the snarky, hard-hitting interviewer who kind of, like, work bullies, Clark because he's kind of a loser, and, then, like, swoons over Superman but still gives him a tough time because she's always,
that's Lois Lane?
None of that in the Superman movies at all. She's literally the generic, she's not even a good generic romance. She's literally like, oh my god, he's hot, and now I'm in love. Like, he saved my life, so I love it. It's terrible. That was my biggest complaint about it. Everyone's like, well, Zod, I'm like, who cares? They didn't even get Lois Lane right. And so, in relation to that, This is probably one of the best executions I've seen because Freddy was really good. All of the foster kids were good.
The foster parents were spectacular. Oh my god.
All the
Loved
performances
them.
were good. Even the villain was great. Like, he has a moment where he finally gets revenge, and I'm like, that's one of the best scenes in the movie.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
with the window.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so good.
It was, and you're kind of rooting for him at that
Oh,
point
I
because
absolutely
none
was.
of those people are you supposed to feel
Uh-huh.
bad for, and you're like, yeah, okay, I'll watch this because you could understand being him in that moment, like given what he went through,
100%.
like, oh yeah,
If I had those powers and I was
Yeah.
with people that did that to me, they'd be dead too.
yeah, or at the very least not walking anywhere.
Yeah.
So, and that's.
But yeah, after that, they
It's-
just made him full evil.
Yeah, and now they kind of like, well, he's going to listen to the voices and he's blah, 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 and the kid's trying to convince him, but they never really deliver on the setup at the beginning of like, oh, but the kid also had a rough life and is looking for, like, they never have that heart to heart, or they never have the kid realize, like, yeah, I could become like him if I keep being a jerk and whatnot. They never tie it all together. It's just like, here's some plot lines, but whatever. Here's the fight, and now we killed the villain. Yeah, well, defeated. We don't kill.
He goes to jail.
Yeah.
And then he meets a worm that can talk.
Which, that was actually the coolest part of it, because I had never heard of that character. I'm going to need to look that up, because I don't remember his name.
I do not either. I hadn't heard of him.
Yeah, I
Wasn't
had
it
not
like Mr.
either.
Brain or something weird?
Mr. Mind.
Oh, I was so close.
Mhm.
I said Mr. Brain. I'm taking that as a win for
And
me.
apparently
okay?
in the original Shazam comics, Mr. Mind is like this cute little caterpillar, but he can talk. He's got a little voice box, and I thought he was like Grodd or the Brain from DC. There's a Brain villain who also uses a voice synth, and I'm like, no, it's that caterpillar on the windowsill. And he's a really cool concept because he looks kind of cute. And apparently when people first saw him, this was like back when crazy weird ideas came out all the time. Batman fights the orange dude, watch out for the orange peddler, Batman, gee golly jeepers nonsense. And so everyone thought this would be another one of those that was going to go away, and then he stuck around and was like a serious villain. And is like one of the main villains for Shazam, which I had never encountered ever. And I'm like, how has nobody used this guy before? This is brilliant, like holy crud. So I'm excited about that too. But I don't know if they're gonna. Here, I'll get a picture for you.
It is gonna get a sequel, isn't it? I thought they talked about that recently.
I'm sure they've talked about it. So there's him in CG.
Yeah.
Zoomed
He's
in.
cool looking.
But here's like his original art.
In the comic, he's adorable.
Yeah.
Okay, that one's kind of creepy.
Well, I mean, this
but
is
that one with the big eyes, that's
Yeah.
so cute.
Let me see if I can get his original.
So cute.
Yeah, his original art's this. He's adorable.
He is so cute.
Yeah, and then they finally decided like what he turns into, because it's like, well, he's a cocoon, so what do cocoons turn into? And it's horrifying. And
He's not a cocoon. He's like
Or he's a caterpillar, and
that's going to
caterpillar
go
should
into
cocoon,
a cocoon
yeah.
that will become something else.
yeah, but yeah, no, like that being a villain, like unfortunately
I
you guys
love it.
can't see it,
I love
but
it.
he's this cute little worm, and he looks like he should be the teacher of a Saturday morning cartoon who's upset with his classroom, like not one of the most devastatingly evil villains out there. But he is, and that's brilliant. And I'd love to see them deliver on that. I just have absolutely no faith in DC.
Yeah.
Like, just like Venom to Venom 2, I expect more likely that, where they take something that could have been good and just butcher it, and you can see the heart of the writers trying to get through the BS that's been thrown on them, than actual clever delivery on this. So I hope they pull it off, but I am skeptical to say the least.
Yeah, I hope they can, because I really liked it. God, what other DC movies have I watched? I don't think I've seen any other DC movie from that universe. I haven't seen Aquaman. No, that's a different Batman. I haven't seen the Batman in that universe. Like, I didn't see Superman versus Batman or Batman versus whatever it was.
No, I don't think
I didn't see the Superman movies. I didn't see Wonder Woman.
You saw Peacemaker.
I saw Suicide Squad and the sequel and Peacemaker's show.
Yep.
And I loved the show.
Which has Aquaman and the Flash in it.
You know, I lied. I said I saw Suicide Squad. I only saw the sequel. I saw the second one.
The good one.
What'd you say?
The only one in
I saw what?
The Flash is in Peacemaker as well, as is Aquaman, briefly at the end.
Yeah, that doesn't count, because I didn't see the Flash
No,
movie.
I know,
I
but
didn't like.
It's okay, he's probably not the Flash anymore.
I haven't seen, like, any of these. And I didn't want to see Aquaman because Jason Momoa is a really, really good actor. And I heard good things about it. But I just never got around to it. And then the whole Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial happened, and I was like, no, they don't deserve my money if they're going to keep her for the sequel. And my understanding is they have kept her. Yes, they've cut her part to be shorter, but they've kept her. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to support people that support a proven abuser. I'm good. So, I don't even know. Like, did Flash get his own movie, or was it just like Flashpoint with all of the Justice League?
No, I thought he got his own movie. Flash, DC movie.
Although
maybe he was getting one, and that was the problem.
Maybe.
Upcoming, yes, that's the problem. Yes, and because of things we don't want to go into right now, that's obviously a problem.
Yeah,
so.
Another reason for me to just not support these movies.
I mean, to be somewhat fair, it's very difficult to vet people. Well, it's not as difficult, especially in these cases. It's really not acceptable. It's, Marvel has done a pretty good job of keeping most of their talent in line. There's a few people who are, I think, not great people, but it's within the realm of, like, well, people get to be people. You don't have to be perfect. But when this sort of stuff comes out and it looks like it's been hidden, it's one other reason where I'm like, well, why bother watching DC? They're clearly not putting any sort of effort into this, whereas Marvel clearly is. Maybe too much, but, they're going to keep making the money if DC can't up their game, and they're too far behind, and they don't seem to be willing to say, well, we're behind, so we're going to have to slow down and do it right and just get there when we get there. They're trying to get there yesterday, and it's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's all I got for now.
I would recommend Shazam. I enjoyed it. I'm just saying, if you were to fast forward through the parts where there is no Shazam, you're not wrong.
The villain's kind of interesting for the first half.
Oh, okay. I mean the kid. If Billy is on screen, I'm not against you fast forwarding. He's a good actor, but it's terrible. But Shazam, that actor, he was amazing. I loved him because he very much looked like an adult, and he very much acted like he was a kid, and it was great. And that's all I have to say.
Neat.
And that is the end of Believe Day 1. I got 3 hours and 3 minutes of footage. Believe it. The Naruto anime didn't do it for me. Like, I love dub, and that dub was... I'm just saying, like, if you can't pronounce it the correct way, I think that's when you should change the names. Like, if the people who originally did the dub for Sailor Moon could not say Usagi and all the other names, Makoto, I could understand switching them to Serena and Lita. I mean, very different names. I don't know how they came up with them, but Naruto. Anyways, I chose the greenish one. You can't really, it's so, like, it looks washed out. You can't really see the color. I don't know. I think it looks cool, so hopefully it continues to work. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that jazz, and I'll see you guys next video.